Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and the Loki Season 2 trailer was shown at D23, and I was fortunate to see it. And while I left my Bruce Wayne body cam contacts at home, I did immediately plug my brain into a server to download as much of this imagery as I could. And I can tell you, Season 2 looks insane, deeply intertwined with the multiverse saga to set up Kang between Quantumania and Avengers Kang Dynasty, and following up that cliffhanger Season 1 finale in a way that I did not expect. So until this trailer officially drops online, here is a fairly comprehensive breakdown of everything that we learned from it. The footage opens with the TVA elevator doors opening with the sound of a bell, similar to how the trailer for Season 1 opened. Loki wanders the offices of the TVA, but this TVA is different. It's dark, vacant, nightmarish. It's not even the TVA that Loki was left in the Season 1 finale, because at least that had Mobius and B-15 and a few other chronomonitors and hunters running around. But here in this one, Loki is completely alone. The music is incredible, sounding like the work of Natalie Holt, who composed the first season, and here clearly evoking a child's wind-up music box, just 3 staccato notes with the clockwork ticking underneath it. Ding, ding, ding. It sounds exactly like that. So Loki calls out, "Hello," and then he tells someone, "This is going to sound strange. I've been pulled through time. I saw terrible, awful things." This voiceover plays over shots of Loki glitching as he walks through the darkened TVA. You may have seen some people online describe this as the glitching of Vanellope and Wreck-It Ralph, but that's just a go-to reference for all Disney nerds who went to D23. Really, the glitching is more like what it looked like in Loki Season 1 whenever Loki or someone else tried to escape and then they were suddenly rewound with a temp pad. So someone is now screwing with Loki using a temp pad, and I think that someone is Kang. Not He Who Remains, but Kang, the new Kang variant who took over from He Who Remains and stole the He Who Remains corpse's master temp pad from the Citadel. I actually theorized that that original temp pad might be the thing that was stolen from Kang, that Kang now wants Scott Lang to steal back for him in the Quantumania footage. Loki tells us that he's been pulled through time and saw terrible, awful things, which is new, because that had not happened to him when he arrived in the rebooted TVA in the Season 1 finale, and Loki says it'll sound strange, which has gotta be at least a wink from the writers to us referencing Doctor Strange in Avengers Infinity War, who pulled himself through time using the time stone to look at 14,605 futures and was horrified by what he saw. Sounds like this is what has now happened to Loki. Since he arrived in this new TVA, the Kang who lords over it has used a temp pad to pull him forward in time and show him all the horrifying things that Kang plans to do to the MCU. Loki goes on to describe this, saying, "This is about everything. There is nothing to stand between this world and utter destruction. War is on its way." So why would Kang tell his war plan to Loki? I mean, why does any Bond villain tell his hero the plans ahead of time? Is Kang doing this just to screw with Loki? Or is Loki, knowing the madness to come, part of Kang's plan? Like the Oracle of Delphi telling Oedipus his fate, Kang could have cursed Loki with knowledge of the future in order to bring Kang's enemies together in a specific self-fulfilling prophecy, making them easier to pick off in Kang Dynasty and in Secret Wars. Remember, Thanos told Iron Man, "We were both cursed with knowledge." Knowledge of the future is a kind of curse because it forces you to accidentally walk down that path. In this footage, we see Loki using a TVA time stick to prune away a mural showing the timekeepers to reveal multiple giant golden faces of Kang behind that mural, each of them roughly the size of the timekeeper faces that we saw in the courtroom. So I don't know if this would be the same TVA that Loki ended Season 1 inside of, because that TVA had already replaced all the iconography of the timekeepers with Kang stuff, and there would be no reason to hide any Kang iconography with the facade of timekeepers here. So this must be either the original TVA that Loki departed or a third TVA that Loki has now traveled to, which would be why this now nightmarish one is so empty. Probably the biggest announcement from the Loki panel is that Ke Huy Quan is joining the Season 2 cast. Quan just made a glorious comeback in Everything Everywhere All at Once after his iconic roles as a child actor in Goonies and Temple of Doom. This trailer footage reveals he is playing a kind of record keeper or archivist who floats down through a vault location to meet Loki at a help desk. The whole moment feels like something out of Terry Gilliam's Brazil. Then Casey, the TVA clerk played by Eugene Cordero, will return in Season 2 because the new shot shows him panicked crawling through a dark, cramped space, like under the floorboards or an event. We also see a shot of Sylvie lounging on a sofa listening to vinyl records. We do know that characters will travel to London in the 1970s. We also saw a shot of Sylvie wearing a 1970s McDonald's uniform and set imagery, so that could be connected to that. But various new parts of the TVA are shown, including a bright room filled with natural light pouring in from the outside with rounded archways overhead. We're just gonna have to wait for the trailer to officially drop online for me to break it down properly. But there is a shot of a monster claw grabbing arriving at the door of the TVA. And this actually could tell us what is going on and why the TVA is so empty, so nightmarish, like something out of a horror movie. Because I broke down the trailer for Werewolf by Night, and that footage includes some armored guards who do kind of look like TVA hunters. I guess their helmets aren't exactly the same, and their prods electrocute rather than prune. But remember, Mobius did mention a nightmare department in Loki episode 1.
This place is a nightmare.
That's another department. Now that department I'll help you burn down.
And episode 4 doubled down on the TVA having dealt with supernatural threats like vampires.
You know, we brought in Kree, Titans, vampires. Why is it the two orphan demigods are such a pain in the ass?
So who knows, Werewolf by Night could be taking place in the TVA's Nightmare Department, a department where supernatural elements pruned from the timeline all live and are stored. But now with all the changes that have happened to the TVA from Loki season 1, that department has gotten destabilized and the monsters have broken loose, like something out of Cabin in the Woods. And that could result in this creepy, nightmarish TVA that Loki is now glitching through. Now in another shot, Loki and Mobius are wearing vintage tuxedos and Mobius says, "A little over the top, don't you think? I thought it was spot on." And we also see that there are multiple variants of Tom Hiddleston Loki in this conversation. And the trailer ends with Loki and Mobius together chatting. And Loki says, "I don't want you to think I'm the bad guy in all this." And Mobius says, "Who says you were? Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Phil Coulson, Thanos, Nick Fury, my father, my brother, Miss Minutes, you." And Mobius just shrugs and concedes, It's always great to hear Phil Coulson's name in the MCU, because we gotta show this man more respect. But it's interesting that Loki says Thanos called him the bad guy at some point, because this Loki departed from the sacred timeline in 2012 in the Battle of New York in the first Avengers film. And while this Loki watched footage of his future timeline into that future, we never really saw Thanos calling Loki a villain. So this must be a hint at whatever Thanos told Loki when he first sent him to conquer Earth off screen. Loki also mentions Miss Minutes, who in the Citadel offered him a chance to kind of restore his place in the timeline. Bringing her up here reminds us that she is an active player in this world with a role to play in season 2. Is she the thing that Kang lost that Scott Lang must steal back in Quantumania? And what exactly is Miss Minutes? Is she an AI hollow projection? Is she a sentient cosmic being of some kind? Is she time itself captured in this cute form? Let me know your thoughts down below and follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at EA Voss. Subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Thanks for watching. Bye.